Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for August 13th through 19th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 1 show, and I listened to 1 book. You're probably wondering what this very blank wall behind me is and where I am, and we are visiting Port Hardy, which is at the north end of Vancouver Island. We're in a hotel, so you're gonna hear people closing their doors. It's fine. And we're up here because earlier this week we went to the Comox Valley to visit family, and now we're up at the North Island because we actually went even further north and more to the west to check out San Josef Bay, which was really, really pretty. And after I filmed this, we get to drive all the way back down to Victoria, which is at the bottom of the island. The first book that I finished this week is Tegan and Sara Junior High. This is written by Tegan Quin and Sara Quin, and it's sort of autobiographical, but it's also fictional, and it's also illustrated by Tillie Walden, which is fantastic. These 3 people coming together is a dream come true, honestly. This is about Tegan and Sara's first year of junior high. They had to move to a new school because I believe their stepdad got a new job, so they had to move house. And it's a really interesting story. It's a great graphic novel for the middle grade range, but what's most confusing to me is how they have set it in the present, as though Tegan and Sara grew up in the present day instead of when they actually grew up in the 90s. And then they've changed little things here and there about what was going on. And for me, this either should have been a memoir or it should have been a fictionalized account, and having it be both is just really weird to me. That being said, I enjoyed it. I'm just a little bit confused by it. The other book I read with my eyeballs this week is I'm a Fan. This one actually comes out on the 22nd, and I got a finished copy from the publisher, so thank you to them for that. Unfortunately, this book wasn't really for me. Don't get me wrong, this book had a lot of interesting discussions in it, but the whole premise of it and the way it was written is just not the way that really works for me particularly. In this book, we have an unnamed protagonist, and we know that she is trying to get with somebody else who is cheating not only on his wife, but on other girlfriends with her occasionally. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. And then she also has a boyfriend that she's cheating on because she wants to be with him. Nobody is named in this book except for random characters that don't actually matter to the plot. So we don't know the name of the guy she's cheating with. Every time she refers to him, she calls him the man I want to be with. And then there's another character who is the woman I'm obsessed with, and this is a woman that he is actually seeing as well, and she is constantly checking out her Instagram feed and just being really mad about her personal success and everything to do with her life. This story isn't told linearly, which isn't usually a problem, except for you don't really realize that it's not linear until the narrator actually tells you, oh yeah, this was back, 2 months into seeing him. And there was no real reason for it to be like that. As for the plot, there was very little plot, and as for character development, there was basically none, so it just didn't really work for me. The most interesting parts were actually parts that were talking about different social justice things or different societal issues, and those were interesting, but they were mired in this book of not having a plot and having characters I cared about or developed in any interesting way. So it just kind of went over my head as I just tried to finish this book so I could talk about it and then never think about it again. However, if you want to read a book about the dangers of cheating and doom scrolling and comparing yourself to people on your feed and those types of things, this is a book you might be interested in. As for the one thing I watched this week, I watched most of a Dateline episode called Horror on the Lake. This is because we were in a hotel room and that's what was on the TV, and this was a weird thing for me because although I am into true crime, as you guys already know, the true crime I've watched has mostly been on YouTube, so it doesn't have ad breaks and I can speed it up if people are talking too slowly. And just, it's formatted really, really differently than something like Dateline. This was a 2-hour program, and it honestly could have probably been about a 35-minute YouTube video with the content it had, because it was constantly going, later in this episode we're gonna tell you why this character is saying this, and from the very beginning I knew how it shook out. I completely understood this person died and I'm pretty sure this is the person that did it, but Dateline liked to pretend that you weren't gonna know who did it and like to throw in a couple of red herrings, but just based on the way that it was filmed, I was like, it was clearly this person. Why aren't we just getting to that? So that was all a little bit strange for me. If you've watched Dateline before, which I have never done to my knowledge, let me know if they're all this cheesy. Like, I appreciate that they interview people that knew the victim victim and knew the perpetrator and all those types of things. But I feel like the editing of this show has a lot to be desired. The audiobook I listened to this week is called The Night Swim. This is actually the first in a series, and the second book recently came out, but my library doesn't have the audiobook yet, so I'm hoping it gets it soon. The protagonist of this book is a woman who runs a podcast called Guilty or Not, and she's had a couple of different seasons under her belt that have done really, really well. Basically, she goes over an entire case and lets the audience decide whether or not the person who is accused of the crime is guilty or not. In this case, she's actually going to a small town to cover the trial of a rape case, and she's having different interviews with different people involved and trying to keep her journalism completely balanced. However, while this is going on, she ends up getting these letters from this woman named Hannah, who used to live in this small town 25 years ago until her sister was murdered, her mother died shortly after, and she left to be in the foster care system, and she wants the podcaster to help her figure out who killed her sister. There are a lot of parallels between these two cases, and if it's accessible to you, listening to this as an audiobook is wonderful, because not only do you get the narrator of the main character, you also get the podcast episode she's doing, and then you also get these letters from this woman named Hannah narrated by somebody else. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to my library getting the second book in this series as an audiobook, because even though I know I could read it as the ebook, because I'm pretty sure they have an ebook copy of it, I want to listen to it as an audiobook because of that podcasting element. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down in the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!